Well, hello everybody. Dr. Ricky T here, Rick Tamlin. Today is Wednesday, August 14th at about 11:39 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. Apologies, I'm a little bit late. I've been doing these lives every. You know what I realized? I have to go over to Instagram and go live there before I continue here. Hang on one second. This is a little tech moment. So here we go. Bear with me. I'm going live on Instagram at the same time. There we go. I think I'm there live. There we go. Okay, now I'm in live in both places. So, the tech of it all. Hi, everybody. Happy Wednesday, August 14th. Hope your summer is going well and you're having a fabulous time in these interesting times. Lots of interesting times, huh? Fascinating to feel the ups and downs of it all and be in the flow, and also know that I'm all a part of it, and I get to take a look and go, what's my part in all of that's happening. I know that's not the major talk today, but that certainly is a part of the conversation in my world and in my clients' lives and in my leadership program. And this everybody, I'm having them all take a look at, like, what's my part in all of this, just to always remember, like, what is my part in this thing that is going on in my life, personally, professionally, spiritually, economically, and then also to take a look at in a macro level, like, what's my part in the grander conversation, the grander situation that's going on. And it's easy to kind of forget that I'm a part of it somehow, right? So, didn't know I was going to start there, but by the way, can I just have a moment? Really, I'm having gotten a haircut. I'm having a little personal moment of a bad hair day, so bear with me in my bad hair moment. But I decided to not do this today because I'm having a bad hair day. So, just so you know, technology-wise, you can, if you're on Facebook, and you're watching me on Facebook, you can put a comment and I can see the chat. If you're watching on Instagram, I cannot see the Instagram comments right now. Actually, I can if I open up my Instagram account on my phone. Hang on here a minute. I'm just going to do that. Bear with me and open up Instagram. Hang on. Here we go. And then I can see it on my phone if you have a comment or a question that I can address. So hang on here. I'm going to go to Instagram and see that I'm alive. Bear with me. Okay. Yeah, I have to find myself. I know, technology moment, everybody. Thanks for pausing for a minute while I figure this out. Yeah, I'm not going to make this too hard. Okay. There we go. Okay. I think I'm live. I should be there momentarily. Anyway, let me get to the topic at hand and not worry about the technology. So, some of you know I'm in the life coaching space, I'm in the leadership development space, I'm in the business development space, I'm in the spiritual development space. It's sort of a broad range of what I talk about, and because I'm a believer in we're not separated from any of these things. So when people ask me what's the niche I'm in and what do I do and how do I do it, I pretty much answer this these days, and I'll get to the topic in a minute. But one of my most favorite things is to have you or my clients or be the messenger or be the coach, the guide, the producer, whatever language or role you want to give me, is to have you and my world understand that they get to play a bigger game. I'm going to use the metaphor that you get to play a bigger game and you're here to play a bigger game. What that means is you're up to something bigger than you know how to do. It designs you, it develops you, it grows you, it expands you, because one of my most favorite words these days is expansion. And expansion and contraction, right? I'm going to go a little bit into the quantum world for this just a little moment here, but the universe, as we all know, is either expanding or contracting, and it's doing both at the same time. And we are a part of the world, and we're a part of the energetic field. So either we're expanding in our thinking, we're expanding in our businesses, we're expanding our creativity. We're either expanding or we're fear-based and we're contracting. This is not new news. You've heard this. You've heard me say this. You've probably read 100 books. If you follow me, you've understood this concept, right? And I think one of the things that we start to think we need is I need confidence to be a better expander. I need to believe. And yes, I'm a fan of that concept. Um, but I just want to do a few minutes here on this concept of confidence. And I know it's a huge industry. There's a lot of great TED Talks about it. So I'm a yes and to what's being said. But what I've noticed in myself and my clients, having worked with people now and teams and organizations, and you know, uh, been all over the world in the last 25 years of my career. By the way, feel very blessed by that, having worked with hundreds of teams and thousands of individuals and leaders and middle management, upper management, the whole deal. Is the distinguishing factor, is in terms of being successful and in terms of sort of having this fulfilling life. And it's very much bigger game oriented. And I'm not promoting the bigger game philosophy today. I'm just giving you a frame to think about your own life, is to lower the bar on the need to feel confident and to up the bar and up the consciousness and expand your willingness and deciding self to be committed to something. Because for me, the phrase that I love to say and I love to remind myself is the antidote to sort of doubt and worry and lower self stuff, which we all have and we all grapple with. The real antidote to that for me is not finding confidence, and that'll rid me of the doubt. Is to up the antidote, or up the conversation, or up the thinking, or up the talking, up the speaking, all of it in the land of what are you committed to? Because the universe, as you know, will follow your commitment, and it just is going to mirror your commitment. And I think we forget that, and think about your relationships. What are you committed to in your relationships? And commitment creates a force field of like, oh, that's what he's up to. Oh, that's what she's up to. Oh, that's what they're going for, right? And in that energetic decision, what am I committed to? You've all heard this phrase. I'm borrowing it. I wish I thought of it. The universe conspires. All of a sudden, things show up out of nowhere. A couple of our clients yesterday, we had a group call. I work with people in a year-long think tank, bigger game, philosophical group around getting their good work into the world. I'd like to say I'm in the impact development business, not just the business development business, but I'm helping entrepreneurs and solopreneurs and people who are in that space, be seen and be heard and be out there and be purchased and all that good stuff. But we had a group call yesterday. We have group calls every week. And the conversation really got into this great deep dive of obviously the power of belief of one's work and your own belief behind it, right? The behind, and the commitment to the work, right? And knowing that it's going to work, because choosing to believe that your work matters and it's going to make a difference is a commitment. Right. And then your commitment to follow through, and the doing ensues right behind it. Like, oh, I'm committed to that. Right. And somebody was chatting about or sharing deeply, and it was profound. It was a beautiful, this huge moment where, somebody said, I don't want to speak out of turn or get to share too much of the information, but they were like, I made this decision and then I said this thing to myself and then this thing showed up. And there was that classic line of, it showed up out of nowhere. Of course, I come in and go, no, it showed up because you were clear and you were committed, right? And that's how I believe it works. So, the simple takeaway from this brief video this morning is, it's morning in my time, by the way, so whatever time you're watching this, is like let go of confidence, let go of, I mean, lean into your belief of what you believe matters and bring that to the world and be proud of what you believe and be proud of your good work. But be committed to something with it. What do you, because you're, what are you committed to in people? Another client I was chatting with this morning, a one-on-one call, we have one-on-one calls as well as group weekly calls, was, um, just a classic great coaching question. What are you committed to here? Like, what are you committed? Like, and they had clarity on their commitment. I'm like, great, that's the, and then the doing ensues, right? So, and the final piece I want to offer today is, by the way, if you're watching on Facebook, feel free to write a comment or say hello. And I know many of you might be on Instagram. I apologize. I cannot see the comments in Instagram. I can go there later. If you've asked any questions there, feel free to write a question in there. I'll respond. And I'll also check this out on Facebook. But this is also going to YouTube as well, to my YouTube channel, which is cool. Building my YouTube channel followers. That's fun. But the final thing I want to speak to around the commitment is, I'm going to borrow some, language from Bigger Game. What are some big commitments? You know how there's the incremental commitment, but then there's the big commitment. And I'll use losing weight or the body for a minute. Like, I have people in my life. I know of people. I have friends in my lifetime who, decided I am, going to lose, and they had a big number, right? It wasn't just a little, right? And then business wise, I am committing to a big number of income for next year or whatever it is. Like, dare to say the big commitment, dare to say the big outcome, because in universal principles, the universe doesn't care. The universe isn't going, the energetic force field around that sentence or around the thing you say does not have a moral, like, that's too big for you. You don't get to have that. There's no, it doesn't do that. It's completely neutral, right? So it will mirror your commitment. So I'm always reminding my clients, and myself included, just think bigger. I mean, hello, play a bigger game, right? That's why I wrote a book called Play Your Bigger Game. And I want to make sure I do a shout out here around Bigger Game. The Bigger Game philosophy and methodology and model and everything in the book was co-created with one of the founders of the Coaches Training Institute, CTI. Some of you know that world. I come out of that world, Laura Whitworth. So I want to make sure I give credit to her. She has since passed a number of years ago, but the philosophy, and the first book we wrote together, and then Play Your Bigger Game kind of turned into a round two, which is this other book that came out. But the point of this moment is to, and I took a week off, by the way, last week, from doing all the tactics of my business life, because I have a pretty busy business life, speaker and training and teaching and going on the road and, doing all kinds of cool stuff. Mostly cool stuff, how it is when you travel. The reflection time I had last week is, why am I limiting my big dreams? I mean, it's a classic question. What's the limiter on the big dream thing? And I think it's a good question for all of us. What's your limiter? Like, what's the thing that happens when you say the big dream? Well, I don't know if I can do it. I don't have it's going to take a lot of work. I mean, it's the classic. We've all heard this term a million times, a little overused, the saboteur voice, the thing that kicks in. But the antidote for me on those voices is, what am I committed to here? What am I committed to here? And allowing myself to be pleasantly and excited and thrilled by that commitment, because the commitment will design me, not my confidence. My confidence is like, maybe you've heard this, but I've been training and teaching this for years. It's like, most people are like, well, when I get confident, then I will. And I'm always a fan of like, well, you let me know when you're confident, right? And I learned this years ago as an actor, New York City, that was like, I had to, am I any good at this? I mean, in the entertainment business, it's a constant voice. Am I going to get at this? Is anybody like me? Is anybody going to hire me? Right? It's all in there, and you just have to keep auditioning. You have to keep auditioning. You have to keep auditioning, and then somebody goes, yeah. And then I got into a show, and then I got into a soap opera for a few minutes, and then I did a commercial, and then I got into a play, and I mean, you get how it works, right? But the commitment, and let me tell you the inside voice of the commitment that I had. The commitment was to be successful, of course, as an actor. But I want to invite you to the bigger context of the commitment. And I think this is the reason why I do the work I do now, and why it started in the entertainment business. I am fascinated by the emotional ride of the human condition, right? We are emotional creatures. There's highs, there's lows, there's fear, there's love, and of course, entertainment business is built on that concept, right? We go to movies, we go to plays, and I remember, I think in like fifth or sixth grade, I had this moment where I went to a play and I watched these people on a stage move us through these emotions. And I went, oh, that's fascinating. Look at how they are changing the emotional space of each individual or the room. And I went, wow, that's actually the art of moving people. And why am I telling you that? Because I think as a trainer and a teacher, and all the work that I do, I'm always reminding people, my clients especially, they are the movers. They're movers of moving people through the emotional ride and getting clear on what is it you're all about. So going back to commitment, my commitment as an actor was committed to moving people, not to being just a successful, like, I made it. I mean, if I made it, it would have been fun, like made it, like by the way, in my definition of making it as an actor, you know what it is? It's not about the money. My thing about becoming a successful actor was scripts would show up on my doorstep automatically. And there's very few actors that have made that. I remember reading an article about that recently, and it was Meryl Streep is one of the few that, like, scripts just show up at her door and, like, do you want to do this? Do you want to do this? Like, you don't have to really audition, although she still does. But that whole, like, you've made it, so we're just giving you scripts. You pick the one you want to do. That was my definition of making it. Didn't make it. It's okay. Morphed my career into this other element, in this other expression, which is sort of interesting. It's sort of in the same campground of moving people forward. So back to the commitment word, my commitment back then was not just about being successful. My commitment was, that's about me. Of course, who doesn't want that? So it's not about, like, that's not a bad thing to want to be successful. And yeah, I would love to have made $1 million per movie and all that. Like, yeah, okay, cool. But I remember thinking, I just love the art of moving people forward in the life they want, to have them understand that emotions and movement is a thing, right? And to be more in charge of it rather than sort of being, done by it. Right? And recently I've been chatting with our clients about this. And I had to work this through, and I still fail at this. And I mean this in the most respectful way, but in my commitment to my work in the world and my clients, and getting messages out there and helping people be clear on what they sell and how to talk about it and be engaging with it as best you can. But I also had to learn the art of being emotionally responsible in my day-to-day life as an entrepreneur and a solopreneur. So my husband and I run this business. We've been running it now for 20 years. And it's, to run your own business is crazy, right? It's like just wild. It's successful and then it's not. And then the economy changed. I'm not going to go through the arc of one's business life, but I will say emotional business management, right? It's like a term. Like, I can't let my day be dictated by how I feel, because I have a job to do. And that's the good news. And I want to offer this. I'm going off on a little tangent here, but I tell this to my clients all the time. So when I have a call to do, or I have something on the calendar, like right now, this is doing a live on Facebook, I'm doing a live on Instagram. It's on my calendar to do every week, same time. Last week I took off because I was on vacation, right? But the good news is these moments pull me out of the funk if I'm in one. A client will pull me out of the funk, right? A group training will, like, because I put, if you're on my email list, you've probably been to some of my stuff. I do free calls. I do an event in October, right? I'm going to put a link in the chat about that in a minute. But these things that are on my calendar that ask me to be my better self pull me out of it. And I know most people think, and I mean this with respect, sometimes I need to process the emotion to kind of work through it. Totally get that. But other times it's like, oh, thank God I have a gig. And also I learned this as an actor, right? I did 8 shows a week, right? There's not like I don't really feel like it tonight. It's like, you got to find it. You figure it out. You get on stage. You got a job to do. I got to move that room. And that show tonight has to be just as good as the show I did last night. I mean, that's the fast. And that comes from the commitment to the difference you want to make. So I hope you hear the through line here, that I can get a little tangential. What a surprise. But commitment to something, to what's the difference you want to make in people's life, and let that design your life, instead of like, I need to feel, this is another thing. Oh, this is a good one. Just in. I was having a conversation with a group of people yesterday. We were doing a training. It was a pre-call for our event in October. We're doing an event in October, which I'll put here in the chat in a minute. But we're doing pre-calls for it right now. Like, I'm giving people insights and ways to think about their business and ways to talk about their message and where to do it and all that good stuff. I'm kind of getting the runway like designed for October. So when they arrive, they got some traction and some momentum already. But we were chatting about clarity for a minute. And the other thing is, I think, okay, this is going to really like maybe activate, or dare I say trigger some of you. I think being clear is a little overrated. I think you need to be committed to something, and you need to have a thought in your head. And what am I committed to here? That's the clarity that I think is needed. But, clarity of like, I need my perfect message, clarity of I need all my ducks in a row. Like, I'm not always clear, but I am always committed. So that's another distinction for you to play with. It's just kind of go, what am I committed to here? Because sometimes when I ask myself, what's my clarity about this? I go, I don't even know. Right. So there you go. Just think about confidence. Think about the distinction between confidence and courage. Sometimes you play with the courage word. What do I need to be courageous towards? What do I need to be committed to? Rather than getting in the soup of I need to be confident. So ironically, confidence is about me, and committed to something is usually about the recipient on the other side of something, whether it's you watching this now or later, or reading a book, or like, because I'm committed to something. And here's the cool thing. In terms of having your commitment be experienced and heard and seen, there's only 3 ways for it to happen. They hear you speak, they read your written word. So it's either, and really there's only 2 ways, I realize. They either, we have all the technology now to be out in the world. Like, here I am doing something, right? No idea how many people are going to watch right now. I'm putting it out there. And so there's the experiencing you by you going live, or doing a video, or talking, or an audio file or something. We have all the technology to get out into the world in either a talky form or a written form. And that's a blog post, or that's a book, or that's a Sunday newsletter. And that's the coolest thing ever. Really want you to hear that. The gift of all the ways in which we can be expressed into the world is a phenomenon. So when I started off in this personal and leadership development space many years ago, there was very few ways to be seen in the world. You either had to send a flyer in the mail. My very first workshop I did in my apartment building in LA, it was I sent flyers in the mail and I called up the phone and left voicemails on phone recorders, like member phone recorders, answering machines, right? That was the way to get people there. And they call me back, they're coming or they're not, or so so now we have the modalities and the ways to talk to thousands of people at the same time. Whether I'm talking to thousands of people at the same time always becomes the inner voice, right? But here's the deal: like, you just want to stay committed and do the thing and let your calendar design your life, not your confidence. Like, I don't know if I have what it takes. No, put it on the calendar. I'm going to do a Facebook Live. No, I'm going to do a newsletter on Sunday. No, I'm writing a book that's going to get into the world. No, I'm going to put this workshop out there and I'm going to invite 20 of my best friends. Like, commitment to the difference you want to make into a form that the world can then experience, right? It's a really simple concept, but I also want to make sure I name, and it has a lot of internal complexity to it. Your brain, and like, what do I do and how do I do it, and is this the right technology and what platform? And I'm a fan of tone down all those voices, pick a platform, go for it, invite people, and speak your commitment of what you want for them. What do you want for people? And then give me and here's what my thing is about, or here's what my book is going to be about. So I'll leave you with what I want for you, because that's the context of bigger game. It's the context of the work I do in the world. What I want for you is that your message, that your philosophy, your ideology, your energy, your aliveness, your passion of what you want for people is seen and heard and experienced by as many people or animals or whoever, by as many people as possible. Right? Because, and for me, that's what it means to play a bigger game, and to not be shy about it, to not be clandestine about it, to not be closeted about it, but to be wildly committed to it. Right? Yeah. And I just realized I've never said this, but I think I just had this new thought. I think one of, are you committed or are you closeted? What an interesting question. Closeted meaning, I'm a gay man. You'll all probably know that. But closeted is like, nobody knows about my life, and nobody, I'll get the concept. But as a business and as a solopreneur, like, you got to be seen, you got to be heard, you got to be out there, you got to speak your truth, you got to speak what you believe, right? And let the world decide if they align with it or not. I mean, that's what writing a book is all about. Do you align with this book? Lots of people that did, lots of people that didn't. Lots of people thought it was thin. Lots of people thought it was brilliant. Lots of people wanted to hire the workshop. Lots of people, and then, here's the other thing, just to name. I didn't expect this to happen, but one person inside a global Fortune 50 company, I think this was not on my list, right? It wasn't like a strategy, but this one person heard me talk about it in one room. It wasn't a corporate room. It was a public room. I'm on a stage. I gave the philosophy, and then she came up to me. It was one of those moments of, like, you had no idea where this was going to go, but that one person had some voice inside a powerful system, a global, and all of a sudden I was traveling around the world for this major Fortune 50 company, training the philosophical underpinnings and the leadership concept of what it means to play a bigger game to probably a couple thousand people in a many different offices and locations around the world. I had no idea that was going to happen. But what I do know is I showed up and I spoke about it, and I shared my wisdom and I shared my philosophy and what it means. That's what I want for you. And you have no idea, because strategy is, for me, strategy is the game of strategy is showing up, speaking about your thing, daring to put it out there, and seeing, who connects a dot to what, right? And I want that for every single one of you if you're watching this right now. And if that interests you, hang out in my world, come to my event in October. That's what I'm all about. And there's doing to that, there's being to that, there's mindset to that. I like to think of it as it's a business conversation. It is a leadership conversation for yourself, and ultimately, it's a spiritual conversation for yourself. Do you believe it enough? Like, what is so those three sort of concentric circles, spirituality, business, and leadership kind of all come together because you are the leader of your own work in the world. Okay. And coming back around to this topic, let commitment be the driver, not the need to be confident. So have a great rest of your day. I'm doing these every Wednesday. Let me drop in the chat here. Yeah, I think so. I think it'll show up here. I'm going to put in the chat the link to our event in October. We are doing a great job of getting it out there. We have about, 100 people registered. Virtual event, October 10 and 11. All in the land of having you understand the mechanics, the mindset, the mechanics, and the ability and the energy to have more and more people experience your amazingness. Because whatever idea and whatever philosophy you have to offer the world through coaching or training or teaching, if it came to you, it has to then be expressed. It's a little bit like the download, right? If this thing, I love this work, I do so much, it needs to be experienced. That's what we're going to talk about. And we're going to give you the mechanics of it, but also the mindset of it. We're going to do a lot of behind the curtain stuff at this event because I'm a believer that I'm going to make up a percentage. 75% of this is your own inner mechanics and belief and understanding of your own power and your own ability and your own energy. And then I know we all get caught in the mechanics of should I be on Facebook and should I be on LinkedIn? And yeah, we're going to do some of that. But I just have to tell you, I am my own business life. I've not spent hours and hours and hours and hours on that. I get some feedback and I get some understanding, and I hired somebody along the way and say, should I be on LinkedIn? Should I be on? They gave me some feedback. That's the mechanic stuff. That's actually that's the easiest part. It's the being side. It's the show up side. It's the energy side. It's your belief behind it that is way more important. And that comes from commitment. Okay, now I'm over talking. So hang on here. I'm just going to do something while you listen for a second. I just have to grab a link. As I said, I would do it. Hang on here. Let's see. Hang on here. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to put this in the chat right now. Usually have somebody do this. So here's the link. Hopefully it's going into Facebook, and I'll do it on Instagram as well in a minute. Yeah, here's the link to, so it's produceyouevent.com. And if you put SAVE20, S-A-V-E, capital S-A-V-E, no space between E and 20, the number 20, in the code box, it's a $27 ticket. Okay. That's in October 10 and 11. Go read about it. We have a landing page about it. You know how it works. And there are a lot of folks joining us because I'll do one more commercial for this. When you bring like-minded, committed people together, magic happens. And I mean that in the best sense of the word. It's like the concept of bringing people together. It creates this sort of vortex. I know I just used a kind of a woo-woo word, but it creates this, right? It's like a think tank, or when you're in a workshop, that swirl of like we're like-minded, and the consciousness goes up together, and the vibration goes up together, and the connection goes up together, and it's super fun to be in a room full, in a virtual room. In this case, it's a virtual room of like-minded people. So there's also going to be the connections from this. You're going to meet other people. We'll do breakouts because these kinds of rooms that you can jump into and start to bring your energy and your philosophy to them, rather than you're just a recipient from me doing, I'm going to do some stuff and train some stuff and show some videos, and we're even going to do a little sing-along stuff. Really, Rick? But just to be in a collective conversation about that raises the whole game. I go to these things all the time. I go to my own, I go to other people's. I'm fascinated. I'm eager to learn their philosophy, their ideology. Sometimes I borrow it, I give credit, but when I'm in these rooms, right, rather than I'm in on my own little head about trying to figure this out by myself. So there's another reason why I think you should come to something like this, right? If it's not mine, go to other people's, right? Go to these rooms and hear these people talk about what are they up to and how are they doing it, and because the learning curve is fascinating to me, and I'm learning curve for me is a value, right? I'm on a learning curve for life, right? Because if I stop learning, I stop living. So, okay. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. Happy Wednesday. More to come. You'll see me next Wednesday. And if you're not on my email list, ricktamlin.com, and you can join me there. Let me just put that in there, and you can get on my email list. I do free classes along the way every month. I do a bunch of them. Also, if you register for the event now, we are doing lots of pre-classes. I'm doing pre-trainings. I did one yesterday. There were about 30 people there. So I'm doing free pre-trainings before the event. Okay. So if you register for the event, you'll get on this email list from us telling you about these other pre-calls that we're doing between now and October. All right. Have a great rest of your day, everybody. More to come. Thanks much. Sending you all peace, ease, love, health, and wealth to you, your families, your work, your peers, your loved ones, your state, your country, and ultimately the globe, because we are all co-creators of all of this amazing thing called life. More to come. Bye for now.